y'all, it's your good sis Erica Vane here with a new series alert, the 4400. I am going to be breaking that down. In this video, I'm breaking down episode 1. This is only my second CW show, y'all, so y'all gonna have to ride with me on it. Let's get into it. So I saw the promotions for the 4400 after or while watching All American. The season premiere of All American happened. If you missed it, I did a breakdown for that episode. It's currently on the channel and you can check it out. I'll link it in the cards above, description box down below. I am a super huge fan of All American and have over 200 videos breaking down the series. So if you are a fan and you happen to come here by way of the 4400, be sure to check out my All American content as well. Erica Vane TV is breaking down all of the latest and greatest in television and film, and you should really join the tribe by hitting subscribe and turning your bell notifications on so that you know about the newest, hottest drop and what television series you should be watching and talking about next. But back to the 4400. Okay, so let me give you a little information about the 4400 before I talk about this first episode, which I absolutely loved. It was truly brilliant. Over the last century, at least 4,400 people who were overlooked, undervalued, and otherwise marginalized vanished without a trace off the face of the planet. Last night, inexplicably, they were all returned in an instant to Detroit, having not aged a day and with no memory of what happened to them. As the government races to understand the phenomenon, analyze the potential threat, and contain the story, an empathetic social worker and a hardened community corrections officer are among the civil servants called upon to deal with the uncanny refugees. The new partners clash in ideology and approach, but gradually find they have more in common than they thought as they become familiar with those under their care, including a lawyer and resilient young mother from the early aughts whose unexpected reunion with her estranged husband and suddenly teenage daughter is immediately rocky. A World War I Army surgeon, fresh from the Harlem Renaissance, an influential hidden figure from Mississippi Civil Rights Movement, a black sheep Reverend Scion, born to a notable televangelist family in the 1960s Chicago, a seemingly shallow but misunderstood D-list reality TV star from Miami circa 2015, and two wildly different unaccompanied teens, a vibrant girl whose bell bottoms give away her 1970s upbringing, and an introspective present boy whose origins remain a mystery. These unwilling time travelers, collectively the 4400, must grapple with their impossible new reality. The fact that they've been returned with a few upgrades and an increasing likelihood that they were brought back now for a reason they're only beginning to understand. Alright, but into my episode review / breakdown. Not them opening with Rihanna. I just told y'all in my Queens video breakdown how I love Rihanna. I love the series already and it's only 2 minutes in. And before I could even sit with my shimmy, we see this beautiful young black girl snatched out of her car with a green light and then thrown into a field with other people falling from similar green lights in the sky. Now that's how you start a series. Quickly, we are introduced to all of the main characters, which I just mentioned in the series description, and we're introduced to them in a way that speaks to what their characterization is going to be. Now, initially, I thought that these were pulling people from the same period in time, and I did not read the description before I watched the episode, but I love that they are pulling people from all over the world in different timelines. One thing also to note that this is actually a reboot, and shout out to the subbies who told me that they wanted me to talk about this series and then mention that this was a reboot. I have never seen the original series, so I am coming in completely fresh, but if you have seen the original series, feel free to drop in the comment section what you think and if they're getting it right, getting it wrong, or if you're a little indifferent. Now, off the bat, I do not like this Keisha girl. Sis, how are you seeing the worst in all of these people right off the bat, and so many of them look like you? I know that you're a parole officer, but if you was going to just be jaded, you might as well go ahead and retire and go see if Joanne's is hiring. And also, since when do parole officers get called with guns to scenes of a break-in? Presumed break-ins, because you know knocking on the door while black means that you're armed and trying to break in to some of these white folks. Yeah, from the very beginning, I'm pretty much throwing Keisha away. And I think Jharrel said it best in reference to her when he literally says, "You're a cop who believes in the system over humanity." Like, make it make sense, sis. Make it make sense. The main character within the 4400 that we get a lot of time to focus on is Shanice, and this is the woman who's actually pulled out of her car at the very, very beginning of the episode. We actually get to see the moments before, the morning before, with her and her fiance and her new baby as she's preparing for her day. And then when we see her actually snatch out of the car, this is when she's on her way to work. But she finds out her husband moved on 9 years after her disappearance and thought that she ran away because she wrote a note while she was experiencing postpartum depression, and Logan found it and thought that that was the reason that she was gone in an instant. Now, the majority of the 4400 that we see them holding captive, kind of like in prisons, and honestly, y'all, it was definitely given triggering watching these white police officers contain these people who did absolutely nothing wrong, but they're treating them like they have converted this hotel into a jail. The man don't want them to play the piano, don't want them to sing, don't want them to dance, don't want them to occupy their time and minds when they have just been put through such a traumatic event. They literally have popped up, some of them 50 years in the future, and you want them to just sit here like crisscross applesauce and just stare at you? Yo, ugly mug? Nah, it's a nah for me, sir. And it's really triggering, again, watching how insensitive, how inhumane, and how downright disrespectful a lot of these white cops are to these marginalized people. Now, while the majority of the main cast is black, I love that in the description how they say that the people that have been snatched are overlooked, undervalued, and otherwise marginalized. So it's not just specific to black people, but I think that that's going to come into play as the series really starts to unfold, because as it mentions at the end of the description, the reason that they were the ones taken and now have been returned, they are only beginning to understand. And I think that this is going to wind up being an empowering story around what society has kind of weaponized against people in reference to their uniqueness and their race and their culture and all that. Is ultimately going to be superpowers for them in this particular world, and we love to see it. And shout out to Derrick A. King. I honestly literally have chosen to tune into the 4400 because Derrick A. King is an actor. At the time when I was first introduced to him, he was an aspiring actor, and he performed at this talk that I was at my first week of moving to LA, and I literally remember saying that dude is a star. And to now fast forward 4 years later, and he has been booked on this show as a series regular, and you see his whole world opening up and his dreams coming true. It's just, we love to see it. We really love to see it. And if you're not new here, you know I talk about film and television. You know that I am actually a filmmaker myself, screenwriter, director, producer, and I'm not new to this. I'm true to this filmmaking storytelling game. So it's really, really important to highlight him and give him some flowers, because he really is truly an amazing talent. But back to the breakdown. It's interesting to see how Keisha and Jharrel are actually interacting, and I guess they are setting them up to be good cop, bad cop. Keisha, what pisses me off is that they both have a story that's tying them to the 4400 story. They both have lost people or people are missing. And I feel like Keisha has weaponized her pain from losing her person to make her jaded and bitter and negative to others, while Jharrel is using his pain of the loss to have hope and to have empathy. And watching these two things battle it out really feels like us watching society in this little mini interpersonal relationship and interaction of how they're going to actually be able to work together and exist in the same space and get to a common goal when they have two very different philosophies on life. So it's very intriguing from a storytelling point of view. As an audience member, it makes you pissed at Keisha, but that's neither here nor there. In this first episode, we only really get to see the backstory of Shanice, and then also our hidden figure from Mississippi. She is displaying signs that she actually can heal herself in a matter of time. When she lands, she has this big gash on her leg, which the surgeon tries to treat, but then all of a sudden it is starting to heal, it is sealed, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And that is the ode to them coming back, and like it says in the description, they've been returned with a few upgrades. And I'm thinking that this is going to mean certain powers or certain abilities. Now, I do also want to draw close attention to the two unaccompanied teenagers, because I think that they are so very important, and we get the note to this. So Mildred is the one who actually, I think, is in control of the door and the setup. When Shanice is able to escape, it's because Mildred makes it so. So Mildred knows more than we think that she knows, or than anybody can actually register. She's not just one of the regular people who were just picked up and dropped off here. But then also, it's not necessarily clear if she knows and is fully in control of these powers that she has. Now, Hayden is a teenager who, even throughout the interview process, is completely silent, and he doesn't choose to speak until the very end when he tells Keisha to tell Jharrel that his brother is fine, and that's the first words that he say, and he's giving spooky weird too. So these two teens, they know more, or they have access to more than everybody else, because everybody else was kind of just snatched out of their lives and dropped here and don't actually know what's going on. But I do think that whether they know intentionally or unintentionally, both Hayden and Mildred have something to do with why this is happening, and I cannot wait to see how it continues to unfold. What I am wondering specifically with Mildred is, like, why did she just let Shanice out, and why didn't she free more of them if she has the power to do so? Overall, I think that this was a great pilot episode. It gave us all the information that we needed to know in reference to backstory. I care about quite a few characters like Claudette, Reverend Johnston, and Shanice immediately. Jharrel, I am with 100%, and I've already picked my villains, which Keisha is definitely going to be a villain, and I'm kind of leaning towards Logan being one of my villains too, because I just don't like how the energy that he was kicking, even though I know he's been through a lot as well with his wife or fiance magically disappearing and him having to raise his daughter on his own. But I absolutely loved it. Like I said, it gives us a ton of backstory so that we can drop into the show, get attached to specific characters, and be ready to ride this ride. I cannot wait until next week. The 4400 premieres after new episodes of All American on Mondays, which is a great time slot to have. So just stay tuned. And again, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button to join the tribe. Let's jump in the comment section and tell me what you thought about the 4400 if you've already watched it. And I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.